Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tysean Jackson, in the building with my co-host, Ryan Catchings.
Big facts, and today is just two of us, which makes this a very special show.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so what you got for us, man?
It hasn't been this way in a long time.
I agree.
Been.
What's up when Harley in Love was popping? It kind of was just us, kind of kicking and having fun. But the lovers in the chat was a big part of that too. So I guess this is a little different.
This is a little different, y'all. But this is special. We went ahead and we giving y'all this episode because it's a huge announcement to be made on the platform. Some of you have already seen the post and the announcement that went out this past Sunday.
Big facts.
But your boy Tysean Jackson is hitched up.
Crazy.
He's out these streets.
Congratulations.
I found my wife, y'all. And yes, it's a beautiful thing, y'all. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. So this episode.
Shout out to the Jacksons, man.
Shout out to the Jacksons, man. Much love.
A whole team now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We building a little corporation over there now. The corporation, the covenant has popped off. And I couldn't be more excited, man. I couldn't be more excited. And today we're going to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the world has been tuned into Ryan and I's journey.
Going on 4 years now.
Going on 4 years
Have we hit 4?
We're going to hit 4 years in November.
Okay.
And it has been a ride. And shout out to all the initiates that have been riding with us, that have supported us, that have loved us, that have poured into us for so many of these past years.
Especially the day ones, man. Y'all crazy because we did a lot of growing.
They grew with us.
I'm telling you. Still growing, by the way. But, I mean, if you've been with us from day one, year 2, year 3, going on year 4, man, it's been an amazing journey. So I hope you've been enjoying as much as we have.
Yeah, much love to you. Much love to you. I'm very excited to talk about this because the journey, mostly me and Ryan have asked most of the questions behind the mic, but it's been a lot that have happened in our lives, on and off camera, that's led up to this moment that we want to discuss here. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and first give a major shout out to MASINA Diamonds, man. Incredible company that I had a blessing and a pleasure to work with. They're here in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Russ and Star. I mean, incredible.
Family owned.
2 people, family owned company. Yeah. I'm talking about even the whole process, bro, of engaging. You don't even know. You don't get into all the details of it, but even buying the ring.
Man, that had me scared, man. You took Tysean took, this was before you picked out the ring and everything, took us up to MASINA, and we got the chance to go into like the store and everything. And I didn't even understand the concept of a jeweler and all this thing. Yeah. But as they're walking us through kind of the levels, because the diamonds, the jewelry is just not like, it's not like no basic situation. It's like, it's levels to it. Like you got the color, you got the clarity, you got the size, and then you got the shape. Then you got like the natural versus the lab grown. And it's like, I see why you need somebody that you can trust.
So you gotta have somebody you trust. You gotta have somebody that's gonna break down and educate you on what's going on. You even gotta tell somebody, like have somebody put you on game on what's popping and what's hot that your lady gonna like.
Absolutely.
Especially us fellas, we don't be knowing what the hell going on. You bring your lady a ring, she like, okay, I love you, so yes, but yeah, I ain't really feeling that joy.
Yeah, because they're gonna be particular, and it's kind of strange the way they was explaining the way it works. Like, what's hot and trending yesterday is not necessarily what's hot and trending today. Yeah. So a lot of times the ladies like to get things that everybody else doesn't have. So it's just the whole cycle.
And I'm gonna be honest, if your lady like mine, she gonna already kind of send you what she want. All right, so you gonna already have photos of it. So my process, I wasn't concerned about not having the right shape. But the beauty of it is I loved working with them so much. I said I'm going to sponsor you guys on the show. We're actually going to go ahead and put a free consultation link in there because you actually do need a consultation because some education before you buy it. So anybody that is curious and wants to work with a great company, hit the link in the description and you can get a free consultation with the team over there at MASINA. And they're going to hook you up. Even if you don't want to, they specialize in engagement rings, but any pieces that you might be looking for, they can help you guys find it. Men and women, incredible team to work with.
They got them pieces, but again, the consultation is the most important thing because what I learned in one visit was incredible. And, I'm further away than obviously Tysean is when it comes to the engagement marriage situation. But the thing is, you do want to be educated because, the whole process and situation it's an investment. Yeah. It's a moment, of course, it's the photo shoot, it's the jury, it's the wedding, man. It's all of that stuff put together. So you need an expert to really put you on game to let you know what you're getting into.
Absolutely. And, before I even, I guess we already kind of hinted there, but let's go back to the beginning because, Hardly Initiated has truly been a blessing, a hidden blessing behind this all, because I'm not sure if there would have been another environment that was able to really kind of pressure test us, and really cover us and put us in an environment where we constantly having conversations that are godly, that are calling us to a higher level, that are talking about how we can improve our families, our community, dealing with our past traumas.
Right.
I mean, if you've been riding with Hardly Initiated over this past, 3.5 years, we covered all topics of human endeavor and struggle and family and, all things that I didn't even necessarily know would be so personal. Me and Ryan met, for those of you who are unfamiliar, me and Ryan met in our really 2017, but I think most recent to Hardly Initiated, we had a real estate company prior to this one. And up until, Hardly Initiated, I didn't read anything more than a success book, a business book. If it wasn't about getting money, I wasn't into it. It was a weird place, though, where I just kind of lost that passion and fire. That passion and fire, if anybody has felt that for a business, for a hobby, it was just no longer there one day, which is a scary feeling.
Yeah.
Even though it does happen in life. And now, me and Ryan both, oddly, I don't know if we just kind of tethered in this way because we were so close. We're in similar places of trying to find this thing, this purpose, this feeling, really trying to find that feeling again. Went searching in books, podcasts all over the place, read a lot of books, started reading books on relationships, manhood, and again, looking to find that purpose again. Ended up realizing, man, through having conversation on a daily basis, reading, that, a lot of the men in our generation, they didn't come through a rites of passage.
Exactly.
They were not properly trained up. They didn't come through an initiation process that really, helps them become the men that they're called to be. So therefore, we have a generation of hardly initiated men. For those of you who've never heard that story, that's actually how we came up with the concept. Ryan called me one day and said, "Yo, I got the name of the show."
Yeah. It was great. I think I was reading like The Way of Men, Jack Donovan, and among like Miles Monroe, everything. I was at a point in my life where consuming content about personal development and getting better, and that masculinity piece was huge to me.
Yeah.
And you see these commonalities within what you are reading, and the initiation process is huge for very strong cultures, specifically cultures that are led by men, right? And what I realized is, thinking about my personal life and growing up and how things were with me, there was no real initiation process. There was no real moment to where I was introduced to what manhood looked like and what the responsibilities of manhood was. It was just one of these things where, you go to school, the elementary, the middle school, the high school, you kind of, piecemeal together these different, mentors, whether it's some coaches or a teacher here and there, or like many of us, whoever had the strongest dad in the neighborhood, that was kind of how you came across a bit of what it meant to be a man. You just had to pick it up and decipher for yourself. But it's very different when you have actual guided instruction.
Yeah.
And when you are able to regularly get I would say like the spiritual food that you need.
It's that bread.
That
daily bread.
It's that daily bread. Correct. Exactly. Absolutely. So, I remember, being in this place where I was very excited about something new, because we did our real estate business, I think, for like 4 years or something like that. How long was running the Drive Assets?
Oh, man. 20, probably from, what was it, like 2020 to 2020?
2020.
No, 2019. We started 2019.
Okay, 2019 to like 2022.
Yeah.
2023 kind kind of got a little hazy.
Ish.
Yeah, hazy in there.
Phasing out of that joint.
But I knew I was ready for something else. And the conversations that we would have, these morning meetups we would have it would completely removed from real estate, and it would just be about scripture, or some Miles Monroe, sermon that we seen, or some book that we was reading, and all of it was around the same thing. So I knew that I did not want to get into like real estate education, even though that was what our expertise was. I knew that I did not want to get into real estate education. So, bringing it all together, thinking about this initiation process, thinking about what I wanted to talk about, Harley Initiated just made the most sense. Because I think Barely Initiated was an idea, but that didn't really sound good. But the Harley Initiated, it made sense. And once we spoke about it on the phone, I remember like I was staying off Ponce, and I'm in the parking lot, and I was so excited to call you, and I knew I had the idea. And Tysean, this is my brother for real, because I don't think there's ever been a time where, you haven't been like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah. Now,
don't get me wrong, it's some questions, some investigation, but if it sounded like it was something that was, it was good, on the same line of trajectory that you going, obviously, personally, it was like, yo, let's do it. So that was it, man.
And see, I don't even think we really knew what that impact of that decision was going to have on our lives.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing, man. You just kind of notice, and for those of you who on your journey, everybody has their journeys. We've had many testimonies on here. You really start seeing how God moves in all of our lives in these very different places. All of a sudden, you just lose this motivation for something. You start getting into these random environments. You start getting these downloads that start hitting your heart.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you start now moving in this direction,
and stuff just starts popping up,
and stuff just starts happening.
You start meeting people that's in the industry that you want to get in. You start coming across books and different messages that are aligned with where you're going. And then you just start getting connected, and little by little, piece by piece, it kind of just starts picking up this traction and momentum. And man, I remember us sitting down and had that first episode. Matter of fact, the very first episode, you remember that? We filmed that very first episode. We never released that episode. Yeah,
it was trash.
It was trash, yeah. But I remember the first few episodes we shot, and you got to think about this because, and I don't know if you're able to still find this stuff online, because we took some of it down off or not YouTube, but kind of removed it from the catalog. But you remember when we first started, we used to have a liquor bottle.
Oh yeah.
And glad to hear Delano laughing.
Yeah.
We literally, liquor was a part. Hey, make sure you pick up the bottle before we got in the studio.
Yeah.
Not only do we need drinks for ourselves, we need drinks for the guests. Matter of fact, let's ask the guests what they like to sip on.
That's how we took care of the guests.
That's
how we took care of the guests.
That was us having, being, good service.
And it's crazy because, back into the relationship, I had just right at the beginning of us having that idea, I had met this young lady at this point in time. So she met me when I was a very different guy. I'm talking about I was not who I was.
Yeah.
In fact, she lived in a completely different state. She was in Utah. I'm in Atlanta. She was a really watched the content that I put out in real estate, because me and Ryan actually built up a reputation for being really great real estate investors. Had
a great business,
6 or 7 salespeople, had generated over 7 figures, and we would tell our story. We didn't have a course or anything, but we would kind of tell our story, and a few people locally and even nationally would just kind of tune into us and see what we were doing. And when I started putting out this content, she was one of the few people that would give me some feedback on the episodes. And this is a different conversation because, it's when you're having some light banter about real estate and business, but now, she give me feedback on these, relationship shows. And I'm like, okay, hold on, wait. Now I'm looking at the sister page.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hold on, this sister. Because at first I thought she was in a relationship because she had that nice, modest IG. So now I'm really looking. I'm like, hold on, she ain't no dudes on here. Let me see what's popping. We get on a call that day. Instantly after that call, I book a flight, go out there and see this young lady. And, I instantly know she's special. I instantly know this young lady is very, very, very special. And I'm still in Atlanta. I'm still who I am at this point. So really for that entire first year, I live a double life. She comes in town. I got a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. We have a good time. She leaves. I'm single. I'm a bachelor. And I'm enjoying it. And I love that life. because I kind of,
best of both worlds.
I kind of got to, have the best of both worlds. I get this beautiful woman, have a good time with her, I build with her, but then she leaves. And, I was around that year mark, I got a little fatigued with the long distance relationship, because if anybody's been in that, it's a little fatiguing in that you got to do a lot of phone time. You kind of miss a bit of the physical touch aspect. There's a hidden blessing in that it forces you to have great conversation, and you got to make sure that you guys actually like each other. But it was fatiguing, and I told her I was a bit fatigued by it, and it almost fizzled out at that point. But one of the dope things that I didn't expect was that when you kind of doing it how I was doing it, as far as having that young lady come in town and I spend time with her, and then she leaves and I'm dating these other women, I'm kind of having this side-by-side comparison, and I'm like, yo, she's really blowing these women I'm dating out the water. Like it was no comparison unto the experience I had. And it almost goes back to the point that you really do, when you find a woman that's a wife, you really find her as a wife.
Right.
Because that woman was a wife.
It's the whole package, the presentation. Not that she doesn't, have opportunity to grow, but
for sure
she's at a certain level.
Oh, yes.
Where you want to take it seriously.
This is a woman you can build with.
Yeah.
This is a wife right here.
And I want to hold right here, too, because, just listening to what you're expressing, and then also knowing kind of how we started our journey. So think about our first episodes. Because we're getting into it, wanting to learn more about masculinity and manhood. The intent was to become a better person, right?
Exactly.
But sometimes you want things to look like how you want it. Mm-hmm. So we taking that journey to become better men, and we got liquor on the table, right? You found out you got a very special young woman. She's in front of you, but you start taking that journey with her, but you want it to look like how you want to look. So you dealing with her, like you said, when she's in town, and now you got these other ladies. So a lot of times you can have the right intent, but you can enter it in the wrong way.
Yep.
But I think it's very special how we began to curb how we went about things, just like we did with the show. And as you're dealing with this young lady, you also begin to change some things.
Yep. It's a real gradual process, man.
Exactly.
It's a gradual process. And that's really what I was learning, because year 2 was big as well. After that, year 1, completely long distance. Year 2 again is completely long distance. She moves from Utah to another state, which I was upset about because I wanted it to be Atlanta, and I was kind of pouting about that. So we kind of fizzled out. But one, she didn't have no business moving here for me anyway, because I was still kind of doing my own thing.
Exactly. You're not expressing your full intent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that year 2 to year 3 mark, she makes a big decision to move here to Atlanta, and she doesn't really have much family here. Her work isn't here. She's long distance from work or remote. And that's when things got really, really real. That's when things got really, really real. And I made a pact that by the end of that year, I was going to make a decision at whether or not this woman was my wife. And it's interesting because I thought that, you know what? At that point, I truly stopped entertaining women for like complete entertainment of women, especially when she moved in here, because I still
don't. When she moved from DC to Atlanta,
absolutely,
yeah.
Like 100%, like heart fully dedicated to this woman, like fully, because and fellas know, even if you're not even like really dating women like that, you just know when you just still not all the way there, like your mind, your lust, you still have these ties to other women. That's
when you start you meet these other women, and you literally start to play it out in your mind to see kind of what you can get away with. How does it look if I say yes to this? How does it look if I do this? And sometimes, unfortunately, once you draw all of those different steps out, you might pick the one with the least resistance. You'll be able to do what you want to do and not get the obvious consequence to it.
Yeah.
So when you throw that out your mind, now you good.
Essentially, burn the ships.
Yeah.
That's essentially what took place.
Oh my goodness.
And I really thought that was enough. I thought, you know what, that was gonna be it. I'm good. This is it. I'm gonna figure it out. About the first quarter of the year goes by, and I'm still massively confused. And when I say confused, and for my brothers that's in this situation right now, you in a relationship, you got a young lady, I know it's a lot of brothers, you still don't quite know where you are or know where you want to take this relationship. You're not confident in wanting marriage. Trust me, I've 1000% been there. Might even get a little anxiety when you even think about making a decision. In fact, you might try not to think about it all damn together, so you don't even have to stress yourself.
I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest option right there.
Not even thinking about it, so you don't even stress it. I've been in every single one of those places. Right about the beginning of Q2, my lady, I come home one day. I think it was right after that Tiffany Montgomery episode. I go right over to her one day. You know, I kiss her. I come back home. By the way, she has her own apartment, so we're not living together. She just lives here. But she says, "Yo, I don't want to have sex anymore."
That was right after Tiffany Montgomery episode.
She said, "I don't want to have sex anymore," and I was like, "Okay, like, yeah, all right, you know, like we gonna see,
yeah,
all right." And you know, at this point, sex has just been regular in my life. You know, regularly having sex my entire life after I lost my virginity at 18 years old, or 17 years old actually. And after seeing week by week go by, I saw that she was very serious about that. Like, it wasn't even no, we getting close. It was like, no. Like, it was like, no, there's no sex. And I remember being frustrated by that, man. Like, frustrated, upset, like really feeling entitled. Like, she's doing this to me. Like, how you gonna do this to me? I remember being that guy. And I remember talking to one of my homeboys about that. Shout out to Tysean. We brought him on the show a while ago. And he said, he actually said, man, he's really proud of her. Mm-hmm. And he said that I'm going to have to make this decision for myself because a woman can't be celibate for me. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I don't make the decision for myself, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to become porn addicted. Or two, I'm going to end up just living a life that's a lie.
Just cheating. Just
dealing with a ton of women. Mm-hmm. Or three, I'm going to end up doing both. Right? So he said, you really going to have to get right quick. And I knew this wasn't even, at that point, it wasn't even a physical battle. It was a spiritual battle at that point. And I really started wrestling with, I said, I got to get my spiritual life right. And by the way, I'm in Hardly Initiated every day. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing what needs to be done. I'm having conversations with these powerful figures on a regular basis, but I'm still not in my word like that. I'm still really not praying like that. I'm still, not really doing the things that we talking about are the solution to all the things that people need.
You just a little bit
that I'm hearing.
Just a little bit beyond surface level.
That's it. Just a little bit beyond. It's like I got a knowledge of knowing, but I'm not really doing. Knowledge, no wisdom.
Right.
At all. And I started saying, man, I really need community around this. Like, I really, really need community around this. I called some of the best brothers I knew. That was brothers that have been on the show, brothers that I've looked up to, and I'm looking for leadership. I'm looking for some help. I'm looking for brothers that I can speak to about what I'm dealing with. I'm wanting to read the word. That's the first thing I'm saying I want to be consistent with. I'm looking for brothers that's going to help hold me accountable to this. I'm like, yo, you got a Bible study? I'm like, yo, what do you do? How do you do this? And, man, shout out to Julian. There was one brother that I really admired in his study. I mean, the brother was studied. The brother has, he was putting out content at the time. And I know he was just well far beyond myself. And I talked to him about where I was and what I was doing and what I wanted to start with the Bible study. He said, absolutely, I got you. Let's do it. And incredibly enough, the same brother Tysean I spoke to, I told him, man, look, my brother said that he going to lead this joint plaza. You trying to get down pretty much, like, let's all do it together. And he said, absolutely. And of course, I called Ryan. I said, look, this is what I've been cooking up. This is what I'm working on because this is where I am. Join us. And it's been so beautiful. Because from the time we made that decision, we had one call together as a group, and every week from then, man, we gathered around the word. Mm-hmm. We went through at this point, man. Now I probably done read, man, probably at least like maybe 10 or 11 books of the Bible, it takes time really. Now I'm seeing it takes time really going through it.
It does. And of course, you have conversation, you got some application. So it just takes a little bit.
Yeah, it takes exactly 100%.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize and understand how important it was to gather around men who are looking to advance and become stronger men of God,
Mm-hmm.
who are looking to become husbands, who are looking to learn the word, who are looking to pretty much live a godly life. You know what I'm saying? Like battle lust. And because the reality of it is all the men that I've lived around prior, it was all opposite. I was the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like we all rallied around fist bumping, having sex and,
lust was the
drinking.
goal.
That's what it was.
I remember losing my virginity at 16 and the walk, because it was a young lady in the neighborhood. And I remember the walk. I mean, I could not have been more happier. I remember I felt like that was like the best accomplishment I ever had in my life.
Like that was one of your initiations in the manhood.
Exactly. And from that point forward, that was, it consumes you. And everything you talk about, everything you do, all of the aims is like you just really creating a collection of souls, really, bodies, really.
Yeah.
And to celebrate it, especially when you young and you're in college and it's sex culture and there's all these different things going on. So when you get to the point to where, where you even start to think, you even start to notice, it takes a while sometimes if you're not exposed to the right way. It takes a while for you to see the negative impact that sex culture and just really soulless sex has had on you.
Mm-hmm.
And once you realize that, you're still not all the way out. You just start cleaning up what you're doing. You start being a little bit more discerning, maybe. You start doing things a little bit more tactical, I guess. But you're still not really trying to run away from it. You're still not trying to flee it. You're just trying to clean it up a little bit. And to get from that to the point where you actually seeking out people who think the exact opposite, it just takes a whole bunch. It takes a whole lot of exposure. Because, we were filming Hardly Initiated and just building a community for, probably like 2.5 years before I ever started feeling guilty about having sex with these different women. And we was getting some nice spiritual, mature wisdom.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, it's almost like that had nothing to do with me having sex.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest thing. Then there's levels to the guilt, right? Because the first guilt is like, and shame is like, oh man, I shouldn't be doing these women like that. That's the first thing. So then you try to, create these different ways to just be honest, right?
Yeah.
The honest player. So now you communicating up front the damage that you about to do.
Yeah.
Right? And then you continue to still, get the spirituality going. You kind of doing both, living double lives, right? Spiritual double lives. And then after that point, it's like now you start feeling guilty about what you're doing to yourself. But you still have to get the accountability and this group, because it has to look good and noble and be honorable. So you want to find people that will actually make you feel good about doing the right things. You want to find people that you can look up to, find people that will be just as upset about you making them, this kind of spiritual mistake as you should be. But I'm just thinking how, it really is a process. It really is a process.
Yeah.
So you go down from doing a lot to just doing a little bit less to doing a little, and to the point where, abstinence was introduced to me and you and the group.
Yeah.
But it was not just it wasn't like, let's do semen retention so we can build muscle and build focus. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like, let's be abstinent so we can become more spiritually aware and become closer to God.
Yeah.
So we can increase our levels of discernment. And so we can take out sex, which has been driving us secretly for some of us,
right?
Unknowingly, unbeknownst to some of us, and some of us it was really apparent, right? Some of us who really were really deep in. But now it's like, okay, let's do abstinence because this is best for your spiritual growth.
Yes.
And for your overall well-being.
Grow your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Get clear, hear from God, and actually live in his will at that point. And then all of a sudden things get clear.
Very
and
different.
It wasn't, and that was a big thing, because in that group, as a man, I finally actually made the decision to myself to fully surrender. Go full, no sex, no porn, no masturbation. And that was a very beautiful moment, because I moved from a place of feeling entitled and being resenting to my lady, which I don't even know if she ever knew that, because I hid it so well. But I moved to a much more mature place, to where I was truly able to really see what our relationship was about. Like, I really was able to evaluate your relationship. You want to test your relationship? Anybody out there really still having sex in their relationship? Take sex out the relationship.
Yeah.
And you will see it for exactly what it is. I promise you'll see it for exactly what it is.
Because you have to be able to see clear.
Yep.
Lust, sex, porn, substance abuse, pride, ego, unforgiveness. These are all things that tremendously cloud your ability to discern. Mm-hmm. They remove all levels of capability when it comes to you having intuition and being able to make good decisions. Yep. So if you are actively involved in any of those things and also consider yourself to be in a serious relationship, it's almost impossible for you to make fully educated decisions.
And think about it. And it's like, and the reality of it is like, marrying a woman is like, it's not even, some aspect is logical, but a lot of it is spiritual. A lot of it is. But why do you think you're so confused? All of this is in your life.
Yeah.
Drinking, smoking, smashing. And you think you're going to really be clear-headed in this place of confusion. You want to see why you confused? That's why you confused. Mm-hmm. Move all the things that's giving you confusion. Now, here's the interesting thing. We do great. I mean, we went that year committed to abstinence, and it was crazy because the guys everybody knew that by the end of this year, I was going to make a decision.
Yeah.
So it's funny because even when December was popping off,
everybody asked.
We meeting up every week. They like, Tom, where you at with it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was still like worried because it's like December here. I say I'm gonna make a decision in January or at the end of the year, and I'm still in a place of confusion. I still wasn't there yet. And man, we get there. I remember it was the last Sunday of the year. I remember that whole session was just dedicated to me. We had was gathering around. We had a message that week was gathering around, and it got kind of pushed to the side because I was just lost, and I needed the brothers that weekend. And we said, how about we just gonna go on a fast? Mm-hmm. That's when we made the decision. We said we're gonna go on a fast because you really need to tap in right now. And beautiful decision. Fasted going into the year. I'm trying to remove coincidence now from my vocabulary, because now I understand none of this is a coincidence. But I stumble upon a album that's in my apartment. My lady has been putting this album together since we started the relationship. It's an album from literally beginning to now of all the things we've experienced. It is so detailed to the point where she got notes on the back of every photo. And I never looked at this album in detail, ever. And one day I'm in the house by myself. I'm going through this album. And I'm like, wow. I'm like pulling the photos out, reading the back. I'm like, wow, she wrote on the back. This is incredible. And I'm even seeing memories that I had not even saw since I had last lived it. Mm. And it was game-changing memories. It was game-changing. I mean, some of the biggest memories that I probably could have had in the relationship where, man, I remember I told her I never been here or never been out this part of the world. And she, took me out the country so I could have this experience. Oh, man, I remember I felt bad on this birthday. And she just absolutely, I didn't want to go anywhere. I felt like I wasn't successful enough to celebrate. And she said, you know, whatever. I'm going to turn your whole house into a celebration, invite your family, and surprise you with something special.
That was like your 30th, right?
It was my 30th birthday. Oh, man. I remember this here. This was an incredible moment. It was all, I'm talking about moment after moment after moment after moment. It was incredible. And by the time I closed that journal, that album, I instantly knew, I promise, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders, off my back, and I instantly knew that I was about to marry that woman. It was probably about 2 weeks into the fast, and I instantly knew that I was gonna marry that woman. And it was, and I've been learning, and we talked about this a bit, but I've been trying to really understand like what God sounds like and the voice of what it feels like. How do people know when they say I've heard from God? And I feel like that was one of the best days that I was able to experience it, because it was this overwhelming peace, like
serenity,
overwhelming peace. It was so peaceful that I was even testing my mind, because I knew what I had to do. All I had to do was think about making a decision, and I would instantly feel a little bit of stress. But I was trying to think about the decision. I was trying to think about all the concerns I would have, because I was concerned. Well, Ty, you gotta have enough money. You gotta have a house. You gotta have X amount of money in the bank account, and that's a legitimate concern.
Right.
No. You gotta have, she was talking back. She got disrespectful. You need a woman that's gonna be respectful, that's gonna submit, and she did this. I mean, every single thing I could have possibly did to create confusion, it was all there. And I was trying to think back to every single one of those, and none of those worked. I had no anxiety.
Wow.
No confusion. None of that was there. It was like literally gone. And I'm just like, I'm shocked by this. I'm like, wow. It's really gone. Like, it's really all gone. Gotta be God. Gotta be God. Just the whole way that interaction happened there. And
I am delivered.
It absolutely was delivered.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And man, when I tell you, from that point, I think that's when you kind of just saw me moving at that point.
Moving very quickly
on the logistics. Like, I'm about to get the ring going.
Yeah.
I'm about to get that going, because at that point, when I had done that, she was my wife. At that point, everything else was a formality after that point. And that's the beauty of decision. I think when they say with the etymology, we broke that down at one time. To decide is to kill all other things, right? Like when you decide.
Right.
So life just becomes so much more simple when you really make a decision, when you get convicted in a decision, because now it is a weight off of you, because now there's not all of these options. There's not all of these things you worried about. It's this one thing. And
you become open to all of the things in your life that's going to take you to the finish line with whatever your decision was. Because I think shortly after you told me that you were going to propose to, your lady, your wife now, I think you got introduced to a jeweler. You got introduced to MASINA, right? Then I think one day we was out, we ran into a couple of initiates, actually.
Yeah.
And one of them, Solange, she actually
was an event
planner.
A wedding planner.
A wedding planner. And does awesome work. And then the photography, it's like so many things, just like boom,
they just fell into place.
Boom.
They just fell into place.
And man, it's just incredible. It was incredible.
No, absolutely, man. It was it's kind of crazy seeing how when you start being obedient and doing certain things, cleaning up your life, how God really works in your life is really beautiful. I told Ryan, man, it's beautiful. And many of y'all probably see it here, because I know I announced my proposal, but it was a very short engagement.
Yeah.
The boy is full out.
Wait, did we bring some of the photos?
We'll go ahead and edit them joints in that.
Okay, yeah, add those on
there.
Should we look? Should we look?
Like, oh wow.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, wedding was lit, man. Family was lit. Congratulations, man. This is really dope.
I was literally engaged for about 6 weeks, y'all. So even when you finding this out, this is a bit late. I was engaged for 6 weeks, very short engagement, because the reality of it is, like I said prior, when I made that decision, I made a decision to get a wife, to be a husband, and to have my wife, not even to be a fiance. So even all of that was just simply a formality until we officially got officiated into the process and into the covenant itself. And I didn't even want. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to be married so bad. I'm like, let's just go down to the courthouse. Let's get it done. Let's move on it. The week of, literally, I just got convicted and like, yo, I don't really know who them folks is. Kind of blessing our marriage down at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And I had my brother who was a big part of really helping just clean up my life, get me out of sin, disciple our Bible study, officiate that. I felt that was the most appropriate thing to do, as he was a major player. And just the overall growth and development I had over this past year, which was very special to myself. So big shout out to Julian. And yeah, it was just family out there, man. No more than about 10 to 15 people.
Probably about 15, yeah.
And that's really all I wanted. I didn't want no big fancy wedding. I didn't want none of that. I'm not even focused on it. I said right now, I'm just focused. I told my lady, I'm just focused on you right now, and us and our relationship. And she was the same way. And I knew when she said, Ty, I don't want no big fancy. She literally said, Ty, I will marry you on a sidewalk. I literally knew. I said, yep. This is my wife right here. She the one. This is the one I want, and I need right now, because we wasn't in it for the glitz and the glam.
Super dope, bro.
Yeah,
proud of you.
We just want to be in there.
You the first of your siblings to get wedded.
Yeah.
First in our small group.
Lano, you next. Yeah. What's up with you, Lano?
Crazy.
So you leading by example, but how does it feel? Well, you know what? How does it impact your family? Like, what was your family's response to the whole process of getting married and, now welcoming, your wife, Janelle, into the family? What was that like?
Man, first of all, my mom loves Janelle.
Yeah.
She loves her. It's beautiful that when you don't have those issues of family where, no family feuding, popping. Janelle's family's dope. She got a Jamaican background. My people Panamanian, so we got that West Indian commonality there. So that's really cool that we culturally connect with one another. But my mom, the only thing she keep telling us, she wants some grandkids. So mom, relax. All right, just all my mom said is, well, I want my grandbabies, my grandkids. But man, my mom was ecstatic. She was ecstatic, and I seen, man, ma, man, my mom got married young, and my mom had me she was pregnant with me at 16 years old. So I really grew up with my mom, and my mom probably got divorced before she hit 20 years in marriage. And the last...
Well, your mom was about to be married for 20 years?
Yeah, close to it.
I didn't know that. Wow. First marriage.
First marriage.
Wow.
And them last couple years, bro, were scarring to myself, my sister, my brother, my mom, because it was just so toxic in that household.
Right.
And that last year, I didn't realize a lot of it was that transformation. It wasn't just even, me getting my life right and going through really a purification, a sanctification process, which is what was really needed, because she was a wife. I was becoming a husband, but I also had to really unlearn my idea of marriage. Like I had to relearn what it was, because marriage was this burden and this kind of sacrificial pain, which in some degrees it is a cross in the ministry, to be married to somebody else for the rest of your life. But I was so blinded by the pain of it, I really didn't even understand the benefits of being married. It was just this painful duty that I saw it as. And it was only because of all of the trauma I was exposed to.
I think a lot of people can relate to that, marriage or not.
The trauma that I was exposed to. So you really have to make sure you even properly define certain things in your life, because your definition of something might be keeping you away from it. And it wasn't until I fully redefined, reimagined, re-understood what the purpose and power of marriage was, was I able to fully embrace and be excited to want that in my life. I was excited about, being an entrepreneur back in 2017 when I made the decision to, because an entrepreneur, I associated that with freedom. I associated that with abundance. I associated that with being able to take care of my family. I associated that with rising out of poverty. I associated that with taking care of my mom. I associated that with all of these great things. But if I'm being very honest, marriage, I associated that with, conflict. I associated that with violence. I associated that with abuse. I associated that with a terrible sex life. I associated that with all of these horrible things.
Stuff. Right.
And it's crazy, because having a really great woman in your life, that actually is one of the things that can heal your perspective on marriage. Because a woman doesn't even know that when a good woman comes into your life, she's really teaching you what a wife is and how it benefits you. Like just in her living and her moving, you're learning, wow, I actually can be a lot more productive, because I also thought that marriage meant that it was a sacrifice in business.
Right.
I was gonna, I had to become less successful because I was married. That's a lie. Actually, statistics show most men who are millionaires are married, in fact, to their first wives. So even that was false. I had all of these just false beliefs.
Well, give us some detail, because now that you found your wife, what were you looking for, or maybe not even what you were looking for, but what did you find that made you confident in saying, hey, this is the woman I want to be with for the rest of my life?
Oh man, it wasn't one thing, but I thought that first few years I was vetting her to see what she had. But to be very honest, I actually knew that she was that girl within like the first 6 months. I'm gonna be honest. The latter half of if I'm being honest, 2.5 years was really me becoming a husband.
Wow.
That's really what the time was really spent doing.
Wow. You about to get some fellas in trouble now.
I mean, and it's not, and it's, but see that, but that's important. Like I needed that time. I needed all of that time, because you just can't, as much as we like to put these time limits on things, you can't rush. I mean, I remember, man, shout out to Preston Perry, man. He probably gave us one of the most important messages that we ever had on this platform.
Don't rush to sanctification.
He literally said that. We finishing up an episode, and he was like, look, y'all going to be getting a bunch of people in the comments wanting to see y'all do X, Y, Z, telling y'all who y'all need to become. And it's going to be attractive because that's going to, potentially garner more views, more influence. We're going to be appeasing the people.
Right.
But he said, do not rush that sanctification process. And that was such a good message, because you could feel, especially we in this space now, we in this space of faith, people are putting expectations on our lives, on what they want to see from us. You see people wagging the finger at us all over the place.
All the time.
And the reality of it is, it was all of the mistakes we made, all of the lessons we learned really led up to this. And it was just a lesson in authenticity and really trusting God's timing. It's really, that's what it is. It's like, you got to let this thing play out in his timing. You commit to the work, but that's the thing. That's the balance. You commit to the work. As long as you're committing to the work and you're doing the work every single day, you're good, because that's all you can do. You're putting the work in to become better, but the purification process is a process, and a process and time is, you can't remove time from a process. So could it have been faster? I think so. Because I started late in putting in the work to becoming a husband. I wouldn't put in the work to become a husband, because I honestly thought that most of the process was vetting the woman, which, don't get me wrong, a big part of it is you got to make sure you compatible on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, on a familial level. Your values are aligned on a macro level. It's all of these different things. You want to make sure there's alignment there. But you also got to make sure you got to also vet self. So you vet her and then you vet self. And how far are you from the mark of being a husband? And I was actually very, very far at that point in time. Man, if you just reflect on your thoughts, the things you're thinking about, the way you see other women, the way you see marriage, the way you see covenant, if you're very honest with yourself about that, that actually might be the reason that you're not there. And wow, I had to really understand that. And there was a major inner transformation that had to happen there. And now that's why the decision that moment was so important for me, because I feel at that moment so many things just connected. It's like all of the work just finally connected, where it's like my understanding of who she was finally aligned with who I've been preparing to be, and the revelation took place. And man, it's crazy. People ask me that every day. They ask me that. Like, man, what it's like newlywed? Like how it feel?
Right.
And I'm like, yo, it feels great.
Just getting started.
Life is simple. All I got to do is focus on my work and my woman. Right? Life is so simple now. And if you love your work every day that you're doing and you love your woman, bro, like it's like, I mean, what better life than that? You know what I'm saying? That's like a grand slam dream come true. It's like every corner of life you winning. You winning when you go home, and you winning throughout your day. You're enjoying every moment of your life, regardless of where you at. You're enjoying it, and it's a blessing, man. So yeah, that's how I respond to that answer. And I really hope, man, it's some brothers out here watching, because I speak to brothers all the time, man.
Yeah.
That's you talking about 5, 6, 7 years in, dealing with a young lady, they confused, and and here's the thing about the confusion. They have no plan on how to get unconfused.
And they don't want to let the lady go in the meantime.
They don't want to let the lady go. And they have no action steps in the relationship. And I remember you even asked me that one time. I think that was helpful. I think you even asked me that one time. You was like, I think it was some milestone happened in the relationship. Like, I think she was going to move here or whatever the case was. And I think you said, so what y'all going to do next?
Oh, yeah. I remember that exact conversation.
You said, what y'all going to do next?
Yep.
And I said, I don't know. She just going to move here. We going to kind of figure it out. But that's like the state of most. That's the state.
You got to have some plan.
Right.
And like, what's the next thing you're going to be building toward?
And after that, I put in place premarital counseling.
Yep, you sure did. I remember that.
Premarital counseling was the next thing. Well, pre-engagement counseling.
Shout out to me for being a good bro, by the way.
Facts.
Y'all got to make sure y'all invite me over for some of that seafood soup again. You know what I mean? Since I put in a good word and everything.
No, facts. Because, sometimes you really do need that, because I didn't realize. I thought we have a lot of false metrics.
Oh, yeah.
In our relationships. You think because the sex is good that we got a good relationship. You think because you're not arguing, you got a good relationship. I thought because we was going from long distance to short distance that we was improving and advancing a relationship. Those are all false metrics. Those are not ways that you actually evaluate a healthy relationship. Big shout out to Tara Body, man. I told her what I wanted that I was going to, I'm thinking about marrying this woman. And she said, first of all, Ty, don't even pay me for premarital. She said, don't even pay me for the counseling. She said, she said, your role in our culture is so important. She said, I'm going to do it absolutely free.
Excellent.
She said, just go ahead and schedule. Here go the link. Schedule that thing. And
she's been tremendous in you guys' preparation for marriage. And
she's been tremendous. She's been tremendous. We probably had 6 or 7 sessions. It started with an assessment. And afterwards, Tara pretty much was like, look, y'all more than qualified to get married. Like, it was like, y'all more than qualified to get married. And at that point, I still wasn't convicted. And she, at that point, she actually led me to her husband, which was so important, because I realized after speaking to him and other husbands.
Shout out to Jason.
Another thing, fellas, yes. One of the best things you can also do to find conviction is to hang with the husbands. Like, hang with the people that you are looking to become. Like, those conversations are different. Your single brothers ain't gonna talk to you like a husband's gonna be able to talk to you. And it's so crazy because I don't know why I forgot all of this, because I had to do a lot of the same stuff I had to do to become a husband, I had to do to become an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Like, I had to let go a lot of some of my day one friends that I was comfortable being around, that had different mindsets, different goals, different ambitions. And I had to get around the dudes that were building the businesses that I wanted to be around. Mm-hmm. Because it's something about when you get around those people, it's infectious, man. You start to adopt the way they think. You start to adopt their values. You learn how they move. You take on, how they manage their day and their time. You do so many things that allows you to naturally evolve and transform you.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing spiritually, bro. You got to get away. You want to become a husband, you got to get around the husbands. What do the husbands do? This is what the husbands reading, you got to read. First of all, what does it mean, a husband? You better get up in the word. Marriage is a covenant. You got to understand the covenant. Like, you have to get right. What is a husband doing? A husband ain't smashing like that. So you got to stop smashing. You got to live like a husband before you actually a husband.
Agreed.
So it's all, I had to really follow a very similar rubric that caused transformation in one area of my life and put it in this area of my life, which, by the way, largely, shameless plug, why we have, are launching the High Life community for the initiates, because I truly understand, no matter how many, I'm hosting the podcast, right? I'm hosting it.
Still need some help.
And I still needed some additional help, which is why community, y'all, is so hard to even quantify the value of community. So join that wait list if you're not on there, because it's going to be launching. It's going to be launching very soon. Actually, at the end of this month, we're doing a special launch party for everybody on the wait list. You'll be getting an email and text message on that, because we want everybody to be a part of a community that we can all continue to grow in. I'm not saying I'm at the promised land, y'all, by the way. This is not a promised land story, but this is a major moment to celebrate, a major moment of transformation. And
the High Life is going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge. We've been working very diligently on this. Like, we've been talking to mentors and experts and really trying to figure this thing out, because we wanted to establish a community that was truly authentic to who we are and what we stand on.
Yeah.
And I think that can be difficult, especially in the faith space, because, it's this hope and this striving for perfection, but it's not about perfection. It's literally about progression, getting better every day. And, we in a gym physically, but I thought, a spiritual gym is really what we need first and foremost.
Yeah.
So that's what the High Life community is. It literally is a spiritual gym. It's the missing link between, this, if you go to church on Sundays, which we find that a lot of us are not actually in church on Sundays. Some of us are, of course, which is excellent and great. But it's the missing link between church on Sundays or whatever you do to get your spirituality rolling, and Monday through Saturday, because you need help. You need accountability. You need mentorship. You need group. You need workshops. You need activations. You need in-person things. I mean, it's times there I'm like, yo, let's go shoot some hoops, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't mind playing with people I don't know. But I would much prefer that if everybody I did all my activities with thought like me, right, wanted to achieve the same height spiritually, physically, and so forth like me, and they had the mindset of, spiritual and personal development.
Facts.
And that's not always the case. So we can create a group that, that's the grand vision.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be full of ambitious believers in there.
Ambitious believers. That's the best way to say
that's
it.
Because that's who we are.
Yeah.
I want to really bring mastery and God into every area of my life, and we're gonna do one of the blessings we have that we're gonna be able to leverage is an incredible network. Y'all see, we've been able to create some incredible relationships, a part of Hardly Initiated, that we're going to be able to bring into this community. And I know a lot of y'all say, man, we missed that live experience, man. We missed that interactive experience that we used to have. But don't worry, it's going to be there in that community. So it has not gone away. It's just shifted to a different part.
And Initiates is cool, man. It's cool. It's funny. Because, we think alike, a lot of us. Because if you spending time with us every Sunday, or, it used to be Monday and Wednesdays, we think alike, right? We might not be all the way in sync on the same page, but we all headed to the same direction.
Yep.
So we literally run into initiatives all the time and regular things that we do in life. And a lot of times we sit, we talking, we chilling. We might be chilling for an hour or so, a couple hours, and they're like, oh man, y'all cool. Like, yeah, this is really, you cool too, right? But it's because we on the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we want more of. We want more people on the same thing. This level of spiritual, aspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, because I want to be around people that care about how they personal presentation. They care about how they look and how they feel. They, may not be rich and wealthy, but they aspire to improve their financial lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? They aspire to be physically, mentally fit.
Yep.
And whatever package that comes. And they want to get active. Like, they not, super judgy, churchy, anal about this and that. They just cool.
Yeah.
And they want to get better. And they believe Jesus is a Lord and Savior.
Yeah. And they want to grow their relationship with Christ.
And they want to grow their relationship with Christ.
That's really
and they want to be in long-term, healthy, successful relationships.
Facts.
Whether that's with the fam, mom, dudes, pop,
yeah.
Or that's with your husband or your wife. That's what they want.
No, facts.
Yeah.
Facts. So, go ahead and join that wait list, man. We're very excited to connect with y'all on in that way. It's but so much transformation we can give you guys on YouTube. It's gonna take some real hands-on, y'all, some real intentional depth in the work that we put in. So that's what we're gonna be bringing there. And man, we kind of ran from that for a while because I know how important that is, when it comes to dealing with people's souls and even us working and developing ourselves. There was a bit of apprehension going that deep into people's lives because I know how heavy that's going to be.
This was my mindset.
Not going to be able to do it.
I'm like, Ty, nah. We got to teach them. We got to do something else.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I mean, at this point, I've given in. This is what it is. This is what we own. This is what we stand on. This is what we do.
And what we call to do it.
This is what we call to do. So if we going to do it, we're going to bring the team with us. So let's get it.
That's what it is, man. Big shout out to all our initiates here. I'm really thankful again. I always say this every episode, but I truly mean it, man. I'm really thankful for everybody that has rolled with us this far. You talking about 500,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel here. That means that's 500 souls, man.
Yeah.
500 hearts. That we have touched, that we have impacted. It's hard to get people to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I've been watching certain channels for 5 years, ain't subscribed.
Yeah.
So if you hit that subscribe button, that means you have been impacted to some degree.
Yeah.
Of this channel.
You committed.
Just know that everything that you've seen on Hardly Initiated, man, none of this has been fake. It hasn't been scripted. I think that's why podcasts are growing too, because it's a very authentic way to watch content and to personally develop. And many of you guys have grown with us at this point.
But we how we are on this platform, this is how we are in real life.
It's no fakeness.
It's no fakeness. Like, none.
None of that, man. And I'm excited for you guys to get a bit more of us. Y'all see we went pre-recorded as well, because the pre-recorded now gives us a lot more time so we can start building these communities. We can start doing events. Because our purpose is getting more clear, and we understand the role that we play in people's lives and in transformation. So we absolutely love you guys, and the vision we have is tremendous. So continue to subscribe, guys, to the platform. If you haven't, just stop real quick, hit subscribe on here on this YouTube channel right now. Continue to support anybody who's purchased the Renew the Mind Journal, who's donated to the platform, whether that's been just Super Chat, Cash App, PayPal, however. We are absolutely appreciative to you because it's helping us continue to build what we are building here and reach more people and continue to change lives. So we love you for that.
Big facts. Big facts.
We love you for that, guys. So big shout out. That's all we have for you today. Again, I know I told you guys this early. If you still made it here, anybody want to get some really great pieces, MASINA Diamonds, y'all, I'm telling you, they have retail quality products at wholesale prices.
Yep.
So I'm talking about what you can get from a jewelry perspective, even whether from an engagement ring to a bracelet or watch. It's no competition. We got the link in there, free consultation. I wanted to share that.
Please get consultation before you walk into a jewelry store.
Please get, even if you go somewhere else, talk to them first. Incredible people. I trust them. I'm putting my name and brand on them. So that link is going to be in the description. So go ahead and holler at them. But look, we love you guys. Excited to build with you.
Definitely.
This next iteration of Hardly Initiated. And we celebrated. Your boy got that ring.
Crazy. Congratulations.
Absolutely. But y'all know how we do it.
Facts.
Hardly Initiated. We are out. Let's be real. Most people aren't stuck because they don't want to change. They're stuck because they don't have structure, no system, no support. And that's exactly why we're launching this new community. Every week, I talk to people who are spiritually hungry. They're consuming content. They're trying to grow. They're trying to figure life out, but they're doing it alone. And that's where momentum fades. This community is built for men and women who want to grow in faith, family, and fitness with the structure, accountability, and connection they've been missing. I'm telling you, we're going to have challenges, workshops, inner circles, and even in-person events. So y'all, this is not a course. It's a culture and an environment of transformation. And when you plug in, your habits change, your focus sharpens, and your life starts to align. So the doors are about to open, y'all. Click the link in the description and join the wait list now, because seats are limited. So this is your moment. Let's get it.